Okay, in this video, I'm going to be talking the book versus the TV show. And for this one, we're going to be talking about Queen Charlotte. So I finally finished the book Queen Charlotte. I started it around, I believe, Thanksgiving time and took my time with it and finished it a couple days ago. So I'm very glad I went to this book and read it. I had a great time. So I'm going to talk a little bit about how the book compares to the TV show. I have seen both the TV show Queen Charlotte, and if you're interested in my full feelings on the TV show, feel free to go check out that video. I can link that below for you. And I will tell you how the TV show compares to the book, actually. I will do as much non-spoilers as I can, but once I do get into spoiler territory, I will let you guys know. So if you don't want to get spoiled and you want to read the book, you can definitely click off at that point. Okay, so book versus the TV show. So this book is a little different than the rest of the series in the Bridgerton kind of universe, is because this one, I believe, I'm not sure if it came like after the show, but probably on similar path as the show. So the Bridgerton books were all written by Julia Quinn ahead of time, and then they got adapted for a TV show by Shonda Rhimes and Shondaland. This one, the Queen actually in the show Bridgerton was not in the books, it was a completely made up character. So Queen Charlotte is a whole new character that Shondaland and Shonda Rhimes and her team decided to make up and add into the show. And people love the Queen so much that she got her own spin-off show called Queen Charlotte. In this book and TV show, we get to take a closer look at how Queen Charlotte and George fell in love. If you like the show Queen Charlotte, you'll probably like the book. So the book, as I mentioned, is not the same as the previous books. So this one was written by Julia Quinn and Shonda Rhimes together. So when I saw an interview, you can definitely go take a look at interviews, learn more about it, but like I'm just paraphrasing here from what I believe I remembered. When I saw like an interview with Shonda Rhimes and Julia Quinn about how this book came to be, it seemed like Shonda Rhimes was just writing the story and then, she just wrote down, and I'm thinking it was probably in a script format. I'm not 100% sure, but she started writing the story, sent it to Julia. Julia has written books before, so she took it and kind of molded it into more of a book format. So they kind of worked together. I don't know if Julia added anything into the story, not sure, but they kind of both wrote this together, helping each other out. So I love that. I love that they both wrote the story together. And also in the book, it has a reverse dust jacket. So I think I might flip this over and have that as the new cover, but that's like the cover of the book for this one. So I don't know, I might switch it over. But yeah, I had a great time with this book. Okay, so as I mentioned, if you watched Queen Charlotte and you liked the show, I think you might like this book. So the book is basically the entire show, just a little bit more added into it. So if you want to learn a little bit more about their story, honestly, to me, it wasn't even like too much more. You just get to know more of the characters' feelings. I feel like as TV shows, there's only so much you can act without it verbally being said. So you don't really know like how people feel. I mean, what people are thinking when they're saying certain things. Like you can see their emotion, you can see and perceive how they're saying it and what you believe they're fully thinking, but you actually don't know unless someone tells you what that character is specifically thinking. So that's what you get. That's definitely one thing you get from this book. Like, so when certain things are said or certain things are happening, you see how the character is actually thinking when they're saying it and what they're actually trying to portray in here. So there were a couple things that, at least when I was reading the book, how it was written in here is different than how I perceived it from the TV show. And to me, it gave a little bit more depth, like, oh, that's what they were thinking when they were saying this. Even though I saw their emotion and how they were delivering that message or that line, the character gives you a little bit more like what the character was going through or thinking when they were saying this or talking about this. So I really like that. So yeah, if you're okay with reading a story that's exactly like the TV show, then this is the book for you. And again, this show was not really adapted from a book. This is what I'm saying, like I'm thinking they were probably written together, or maybe like this is written in a script format and then got turned into a book, so probably written the same pathway as the TV show. So yeah, it wasn't adapted. It wasn't like they had to choose and pick certain things, or compared to other ones, like change the story or anything, because books and TV are not always the same exact thing you see. It wasn't like the TV show was adapted from a book. I believe these two were probably working hand in hand together and possibly written around the same time, because this book is definitely exactly like the TV show, just there's some parts that are a little different in each one. But basically, if you want to read and get a little bit more about what the characters were thinking, then you should check out this book. Queen Charlotte is actually one of my favorite season/show from the Bridgerton universe, so I definitely want to pick this up and kind of learn more about the characters. And even while reading it, going like seeing the scenes in my head again while reading this and going through it, I was getting emotional at some parts. So it was really, I enjoyed it. I had a good time. If you're the type of person that doesn't want to read the exact same thing that you saw in television, like you feel like it's not necessary, you don't want that, maybe this isn't the book for you. But if you're someone that's okay with reading something that's exactly like very similar, word for word, what you saw on TV form, I would say go pick up this book. Okay, I'm going to go into a little bit more spoilers now about kind of some differences in the book and the TV show. So if you don't want to know what this book's about at all, probably click off here. But if you don't care if you already read Queen Charlotte, feel free to continue on. Okay, we're getting more into spoiler territory then. So for Queen Charlotte, one major thing that was in the TV show but not in the book was the love story or the love affair with the love affair with Agatha, and I don't remember the guy's name, but Violet's dad. That was not in the book at all. And I kind of like that it wasn't, because that wasn't my favorite storylines in the TV show. I was like, oh my goodness, Lady Danbury. I don't know if I would have wanted to read that at all, but it is what it is. So in the book you get different POVs. So you get Queen Charlotte's, George, you get a little bit of Agatha's, and you get Brimsley. You never get Reynolds. I like seeing that. Sometimes multiple POVs, I don't like things like that. I tend to stay away from books that have more than 2 POVs. I'm just not the biggest fan of those. But since I saw this as a TV show and I really liked it, I think that made it easier for me to enjoy this, and like I could picture the TV show while reading it. So I think that made me be able to get through this and still enjoy the book. So yeah, the one big thing was the Lady Danbury love story. That was not in here at all. Another thing that wasn't in the TV show but was in this book was more about Reynolds and King George. Like, I knew they kind of had like a friendship together. Like, you could see in the book that they've always known each other. They kind of like even though they're like king and kingsmen, I believe the term is, or it could be wrong, king and his kingsman or his right hand, even though that's their relationship now, you could tell in the past, like, they're friends, you know. When it comes down to the basics, they like trust each other and they can depend on each other. So there's a little bit more of that in the book. You learn about Reynolds saying like they grew up together since they were kids, and he decided he wanted to stay with the king, and one reason was because he knew about like his illness and what was going on with him, and he felt the need, like he felt like the king needed someone to be there for him that knew everything. So that was one thing, and he had the opportunity like to go work for his family job or like some type of shop where he would have made more money than, you know, serving the king, but he decided to save the king. And I think it's just he just really cared about him. It was a really good friend. So that was a little bit of Reynolds' story in the Queen Charlotte. I remember mentioning when I was talking about the show about like if they had to do another season of Queen Charlotte, I don't know how they would do it, but I would love to go more into like Reynolds' story or like what happened to Reynolds. And even reading the book, now I'm even more intrigued into Reynolds, and I would love to learn more about the background of him and the king, because I feel like there's just so much we don't know about him, because we don't see him in the present day at all, and he had a relationship with the king when they were younger. So if there's something like when they were little kids, seeing how their friendship grew and how they handled his sickness growing up and kind of what it looked like then compared to what it looks like now. And like he always was there for the king and tried to protect him and do what he thought the king wanted and was right. Like there's a balance you see when he's like with Dr. Monroe. Like Reynolds is like, I'm trying to protect the king, this is what he wants, but like this doesn't seem ethical. So I would like to see that. And we don't see Reynolds in present day Bridgerton, so I would like to see what happened to him throughout all those years. Like, where is Reynolds? So that is one story I'm very interested in, and I'm hoping maybe something happens with that. We get to see more of that. So yeah, to me, those were like the two biggest things that were different between the TV show, the book. Like I said before, it's basically the exact same thing. It kind of felt like you're reading a script for the TV show, just in more of a book form. Oh, there was a part when Lady Danbury is like talking to the Queen's brother. I feel like in the show, I couldn't see her live a life with him at all. But in the book, the way, I don't know, I just felt like I could see her choosing him until he said, I want more kids. In the show, I didn't think he had a chance with her. I think she was like entertaining him and like, if I need to marry to get a title and to, you know, have money and protect my family, then I will. But I didn't see any, like, at least in the show, I didn't feel like there was chemistry or any type of connection with him. And she was just doing it to save herself. And in the book, she could very well be doing that too, to save herself as part of it. But I did think, because of such the terrible marriage with Lord Danbury, this new marriage to this guy, or this new relationship / courting she was doing with this brother, Queen Charlotte's brother, was like a breath of fresh air, a guy that cared about her, thought she was pretty, wanted to listen to her, wanted to talk with her, he made her laugh, these things. So I was like, I could see her kind of having a better life than what she had. So in that sense, I kind of could see it where she could have gotten married to him. That was different because in the show I just didn't feel that at all, and I was like, no, Lady Danbury doesn't want to be with anybody. But in the book I kind of saw it, and I think not having that other love affair with Violet's dad also add to that, because there wasn't another guy. I thought she was just entertaining, and at least in the show, I thought Lady Danbury was entertaining this dude because she needs to stop seeing this married man, and she needed the money, and she's like, okay, so I can't be this man I actually love, so let me just choose him. So that is probably one of the main reasons I could see her could possibly choose a life with this married man, because she didn't have another love interest. Now that I think about it, that's probably the way. Because in the TV show, it's like, you couldn't get the married man, so you're just trying to get someone else to help, you know, to like, because, you know, women didn't have a lot of authority and power back in the day, so she was doing what she can to protect herself and her family. Yeah, I think that's one of the reasons. So that love story, the whole Reynolds thing. Definitely in the book you get more details on things, especially the even days. Like, I love the show, and you didn't really need all of it. They told the story very well. You didn't need all the little things. But a lot of things made more sense once I read the book. Like, there's an episode called Even Days in the TV show Queen Charlotte. So they decide to, you know, be together and sleep together on even days to make sure that they can get an heir. And then once they have an heir, they're done with each other. I was wondering how even days came about. Like, you never really learn how that happened. You just learn they agreed to it. But you get Charlotte's like, I need to have some type of control over the situation. She's like, even days. So I was like, oh, okay, that's how that happened. So little things like that, when I say, like, you get a little bit more detail about the show, little things like that, that's how you get more detail on, like, certain things that happen throughout the show. So I can't remember any other ones right now, but there were a couple things like that. I was like, okay, that makes sense. Why that happened. Oh, that's why that happened. So if I had to rate this book, I think I would give it like 4.5 stars. Maybe even 5 stars. I can't really remember what I rated it. I'm going to say like 4.5 stars. I really love the book. I love the TV show. I love the book. It was great. So yeah, as I mentioned before, if you love the TV show and you want to read something that's exactly like it, pick up this book. It just has a little bit more detail, a little bit more information inside the thoughts of the characters from the TV show Queen Charlotte. Okay, I hope you guys enjoyed this book video of book versus TV show and me explaining a little bit more Queen Charlotte. I haven't done one of these in a little while, so I was glad I could get this and hopefully get this in before the end of the year. But I was glad I could read this book from a TV show that I absolutely love, and I do want to rewatch again. But what I want to know is, have you seen Queen Charlotte or read the book, and what did you think between the two? Did you think one was better than the other? In my opinion, I didn't think it was, because basically I was reading the same thing that was on the TV screen in here. Wasn't too much they changed or adapted, you know, from book to TV show like they usually do. So I was fine, and like the way you imagine the characters, because if you already seen the show, that's how I would think they would be. It wasn't like they got the characters wrong or the look wrong or anything like that. So I had a grand old time. I loved reading this book and kind of re-watching the TV show in my mind while reading it, reliving those moments through paper. If there is another TV show or book recommendation that you think I should be reading / watching, definitely let me know in the comments below. I'd be interested to see what other people say. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I hope you're enjoying all the videos for Binge Miss. If you do want more like Christmassy content, feel free to check out any other videos in the Binge Miss playlist, or you can check out my Blogmas on my website. I'll link that below as well. I'm doing 25 days of Blogmas. And I hope you have a good rest of your day, week, month, and hopefully a good rest of your holiday season. And until next time, bye!